In the music industry, longevity is supposed to come with compromise. That's the unspoken rule. The longer you stay around, the more you're expected to soften, to play along, to move when the industry tells you to move. And for a long time, A$AP Rocky looked like the perfect example of someone who would eventually fall in line. He had the hits, he had the fashion backing, he had the cosigns. But somewhere along the way, Rocky stopped behaving like an artist who needed permission, and the industry noticed.
If I didn't have an outlet or a platform to utilize and express my creativity or showcase it, I really wouldn't be. I'll probably be I'd be smoked out or just dead by now or just burnt out.
Because what people don't like to admit is that A$AP Rocky hasn't just been taking his time. He's been refusing to participate in the system the way it's designed. Because labels don't just want albums. They want predictability. They want release windows that line up with fiscal quarters. They want rollout schedules that can be marketed 6 months in advance. They want artists to behave like assets. And Rocky never really did that. For years, the narrative around Rocky has been that he's falling off, that the delays killed his momentum, and the gap between albums made him irrelevant. But what that narrative ignores is the fact that Rocky was never chasing momentum in the first place. Momentum is an industry concept. It's something executives talk about, something analysts measure. But Rocky's career has never been built around feeding the algorithm. It's been built around starving it. Look at how long Don't Be Dumb has existed as an idea. Years of anticipation and pressure. And Rocky didn't budge. Not because he couldn't release the album, but because he didn't feel like it needed to exist on their terms.
You know, I'm successful up until this day by just doing what I feel is true to me. So I feel like if I continue to do that, I'll be all right. You know what I'm saying?
That alone is a problem for the industry, because the entire system relies on artists being scared of disappearing. Rocky never looked scared. And when he finally started rolling the album out, it didn't look like a traditional rollout at all. No desperate attempt to reclaim a younger audience. Instead, he dropped songs that felt intentionally polarizing. Songs that weren't trying to convince anyone. Songs that felt like statements rather than pitches. That's the kind of move that makes labels nervous. Because it means the artist isn't asking, will this work? He's asking, do I care? This is where the industry starts losing control. Because when an artist with Rocky's history decides he doesn't need approval, it breaks the illusion that approval matters. And that illusion is everything. The charts only mean something if artists are chasing them. The hype cycle only works if artists fear missing it. Rocky stepped outside that cycle years ago. People just didn't want to accept it. Testing was the first real warning sign. When that album dropped, the industry didn't know how to talk about it. It wasn't clean, it wasn't focused, it didn't follow the rules, and the reaction was brutal. Critics called it messy, fans were confused, and the consensus was that Rocky had fumbled. But time did something the industry can't control. It reframed the album. Testing ended up aging differently. It became a reference point, something artists cited quietly, while executives pretended it didn't matter. Rocky saw that shift happen in real time. He watched people double back and narratives change. And he learned something dangerous from it. He learned that immediate reception doesn't equal legacy. And once an artist understands that, the leverage shifts completely.
I want to make money, not gonna lie, but I would prefer to do it the right way by making and producing art that I feel is the best I could do.
That's why Don't Be Dumb feels less like a comeback and more like a confrontation. Not with fans, but with the system itself. The title alone reads like a warning. Almost insulting, as if he's saying the quiet part out loud. Don't be dumb enough to think I need this to work the way you want it to. And the industry hates that attitude, because it can't be marketed. You can't build a campaign around indifference. You can't manufacture urgency when the artist isn't urgent. Rocky moving at his own pace exposes how much of the industry is built on artificial pressure. Deadlines that only matter because artists agree they matter. And Rocky stopped agreeing. This tension only gets worse when you look at how much of Rocky's influence exists outside of music. Fashion, art, visuals, identity. He doesn't need albums to stay visible. That's another problem. Most artists rely on music cycles to survive. He can disappear musically and still dominate culturally. That makes him harder to discipline, harder to scare, harder to replace. And instead of separating those worlds, Rocky merges them. The industry prefers clean lanes. Rapper, fashion guy, brand ambassador, and Rocky collapses all of it into one thing. His albums aren't just projects, something that doesn't fit neatly into streaming metrics. And when something can't be measured properly, executives get uncomfortable. This is where the narrative of "he doesn't care about numbers" becomes more than just a talking point. Rocky understands numbers. He just doesn't worship them. There's a difference. He knows what first-week sales mean. He knows how streaming works. He just refuses to let those metrics dictate his decisions. And in an industry where success is constantly quantified, that mindset is borderline rebellious. Because once an artist stops chasing validation, the entire feedback loop collapses. Labels lose their leverage, media narratives lose their bite, and fans can't bully releases into existence. All of a sudden, everything slows down. And that's exactly what Rocky allowed to happen. He slowed the machine down by refusing to move at its speed. Even the controversies surrounding him don't fit the usual industry script. Most artists in legal trouble rush to clean their image, and Rocky didn't perform remorse for the sake of optics. He lived his life publicly, became a father, and built a family, took risks, and let the noise happen around him instead of reacting to it. That trial was a public stress test, and Rocky passed it by surviving without reshaping himself. He didn't come out begging for sympathy. He didn't reposition his image. He stayed Rocky. And when the verdict came back not guilty, it reinforced something powerful. He didn't need the industry to save him. He endured without it. That matters more than people realize, because the industry's biggest weapon is dependency. Artists who need the system are easy to control. Artists who don't become unpredictable. Rocky is unpredictable, and unpredictability scares people whose entire job is forecasting outcomes. This also explains why the conversation around his fall-off feels so forced. If Rocky were truly irrelevant, the industry wouldn't keep talking about him. They wouldn't keep framing his absence as failure. They wouldn't keep waiting for him to miss a moment. The obsession with his delays reveals anxiety, not confidence. They're waiting for proof that the rules still apply, and Rocky hasn't given it to them. Even his conflicts with other artists play into this larger pattern. Rocky doesn't beef for clout. He doesn't trade diss tracks for engagement. When he speaks, it feels personal, subtle, dismissive, almost bored. He doesn't posture. He doesn't chase dominance. And that goes against the competitive spectacle the industry loves to promote. His tension with Drake is a perfect example. Drake represents the system working exactly as intended. Consistency, volume. Rocky represents the opposite. Selective, delayed. Two completely different approaches to longevity. And Rocky choosing not to play Drake's game is a statement in itself. The same applies to the way Rocky's name is still spoken with reverence by younger artists who don't necessarily stream his latest singles. Influence doesn't always show up on charts. Sometimes it shows up in aesthetics, in posture, in how artists carry themselves. Rocky's impact lives there, and the industry can't monetize that easily. That's why Don't Be Dumb doesn't need to be a blockbuster to succeed. It only needs to exist on his terms. The mere act of releasing it after years of resistance already proves the point. He wasn't rushed, he wasn't cornered, he wasn't forced. He arrived when he decided to arrive, and that's the real threat. Not the music, not the numbers, not the reception. The threat is the example. An artist showing that you can ignore pressure, survive controversy, delay indefinitely, reject formulas, and still remain relevant. That's what keeps executives up at night. Because once enough artists realize that, the entire structure starts cracking. A$AP Rocky didn't beat the industry by overpowering it. He did it by refusing to engage with it the way it expected. He didn't storm the gates. He walked around them. He didn't fight the machine. He starved it of compliance. And whether Don't Be Dumb is loved, hated, or misunderstood doesn't really matter. The message is already delivered. Control only works when artists agree to be controlled, and Rocky never really agreed.